I'm Vina and you're watching RPTV. Today I have a very special guest with me. I have Kevin Vuong, who works for the Toronto Youth Cabinet. And for those of you that don't know what Toronto Youth Cabinet is, they're all about voicing youth in civic engagement. So thank you, Kevin, for coming.
It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you. So let's start off. Why don't you, in a nutshell, tell me what Toronto Youth Cabinet is all about and your role in the organization?
So the Toronto Youth Cabinet is the official youth advisory body to Toronto City Council. So we serve as the voice of youth here in the city. And in my particular role, I work directly with our councillors as well as other levels of government to ensure that the voice of youth truly is heard.
So you are the voice of Toronto Youth Cabinet to the councillors.
That's right.
Can you tell us briefly what was the cause that made Toronto Youth Cabinet?
Well, we were established in 1998. So for over 17 years, we've been working on a number of different advocacy issues, whether that be youth spaces most recently or working with Toronto Police Services to ensure that the relationship between all these different parties, all these different levels of government is going well with youth, and that youth do have a say in what goes on in the city.
And as you know, the city of Toronto is huge. We are part of the GTA.
That's right.
And with us, we have, local trustees, we have, the municipal government, the provincial government. So why does Toronto youth need a voice?
Well, let me give you an example. Last week, we presented in front of the Toronto Police Services Board about the importance of youth having a seat at the table. And the reason being is because if you look at the number of engagements that the Toronto Police Service has with the community, specifically looking at the offense totals based on age, 40% of the charges laid by the Toronto Police are with youth. And so it's important that youth have a say in how the engagements are going, how the interactions are happening.
So among those projects like that, what issues and concerns do you guys discuss about in the office?
So that's one example of police relations and youth and police. Another example is community and recreation. For example, most recently in the Toronto 2015 budget, there were 3 additional youth spaces that should have been open this year. But unfortunately, $500,000, $537,000 to be exact, was cut in funding, and that meant we weren't going to get those 3 additional spaces. So what we talk about in the office is how do we go about getting these youth spaces, things that the community truly need, and what is our plan of action? Amongst
all the issues and concerns that Toronto community needs, what is the biggest concern, would you say, that for youth, that Toronto youth is facing?
I don't think there's any one concern per se, but there are 3 really key issues. One of them is unemployment, underemployment. Another is affordable housing. And obviously the last one, which we share with everyone else, not to say those aren't, but specifically is transit and transportation.
Transit and transportation. So with all those issues and concerns, since Toronto Youth Cabinet has formed, what has the city accomplished from you guys forming?
Well, the youth spaces is one prime example. So $500,000 was cut. What did we do? We wrote a letter to council. We also gathered testimonials from youth agencies and community organizations from across the city. And what happened actually just last week, Friday, it was released in the poverty reduction strategy that $400,000 would be allocated towards ensuring that we get those youth spaces.
Wow, wow, that's a pretty big accomplishment right there that you guys have done. So in conclusion, for the audience who's keen and interested in joining the Toronto Youth Cabinet, can you tell them who can join?
So anybody who's aged 13 to 24 can join the Toronto Youth Cabinet. Now, just because you don't fall within those ages, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't take part. We'll actually be having a call out starting mid-March, and we're going to start recruiting for the latest cohort. So if you're passionate about city politics, about civic engagement, or you just want to ensure that you have a voice and say in what goes on in the city, I invite you to keep an eye out. And I'll definitely share the link in the post with you too, so hopefully you can broadcast it with your audience for anybody who wants to get more involved.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for joining us, and thank you for sharing your passion for youth promotion in the city of Toronto. Thanks for joining us.